What does it mean to be authentically Asian American? One way in which authenticity is measured is what some scholars refer to as heritage language fluency, or the level of fluency that someone has in the language of their heritage. It isn't uncommon for Asian Americans not fluent in their heritage language to feel that they are not truly authentic, but how does level of heritage language fluency affect not only the self-identity of Asian Americans, but others' perception of their authenticity? Based on this question, we investigated existing research on the link between heritage language fluency and ethnic identity or authenticity.
In both the articles we studied, language is considered an indicator of ethnicity by insiders and outsiders. In Soo-Young Kim and Ruth K. Chow's study, Heritage Language Fluency, Ethnic Identity, and School Effort of Immigrant Chinese and Mexican Adolescents, they found that earlier generation Chinese Americans were more likely to associate language fluency with cultural identity, while later generations held fluency as less important to determining how Chinese they were. They also found that first and second generation Chinese Americans, regardless of level of fluency, had similar ethnic identity levels, showing that heritage language fluency is not the deciding component in one's self-identity. Hae-Young Cho's study, Negotiating Ethnic Identity in the College Korean Language Classes, also supports this claim, and posits that learning a heritage language does not necessarily lead to the formation of a homogeneous ethnic identity. What her study shows is that within a Korean language class, students are placed on a meter of Koreanness and Americanness based on their performance in the class, which causes some students to feel more authentic than others.
Both articles agree that there is a variance in attitude toward fluency as determining one's own authenticity, but we wanted to investigate further how authenticity can be perceived differently by the self versus by others.
By not speaking my language, I guess people would view me as really Americanized. I do still hold on to Chinese traditions and values, but because I don't speak Chinese, people would say that I'm less traditional. In social settings, I guess it does put me apart from others.
Also going back to the fact that I'm half white, like when I talk to my cousins, they're like, oh, you're not really Asian, and I'm like, well, yes, I am, because I still have that half of me that's like grown up with Asian culture.
Our research shows that while language fluency has an effect on Asian Americans' feelings of their own authenticity, it is not a primary indicator of their identity. The interviews supported the literary review's claims that strong ethnic identity is achievable with low heritage language fluency, and that language fluency does not affect the identities of Asian Americans uniformly.
It is going to vary per person. Like for me, it just kind of means that like I'm proud of like who I am.
Not knowing the language is more not really a negative thing, it's more of missing out on opportunities.
I've always thought if you had like Korean heritage, that was enough.
Another point that our research shows is that pressure from outsiders links authenticity with fluency.
I realized, oh my gosh, they all know how to speak Korean except me. That was where I started to question like, oh, I should learn Korean too because they all know it.
In regards to how other Asian Americans view me, because I'm able to like speak the language by their standards, I kind of honestly feel like more impressive to them.
From my family, I do get like pressured to be like, Joan, why don't you speak Fuchao anymore? Like, you spoke it when you're little.
However, many Asian Americans have personal reasons for not being able to become fluent.
My town's a little bit racist, so after first grade I stopped speaking Fuchao or Malay.
To learn Khoisan is basically impossible if you don't have family members that speak it.
They would try to raise me into a life of English first.
Finally, we assert that the community should be more aware of reasons why an Asian American may lack heritage language fluency, and the association between lack of fluency and ethnic identity should be severed. Asian Americans of all ethnicities and generations have reasons for not speaking their heritage language, whether it be lack of resources, the demography in which they live, or personal reasons, and the strong association with ability to speak or write an ethnic identity creates walls within the community. We urge people to be aware of these obstacles and to allow Asian Americans' authenticity to be determined based on their own self-identities.
The whole thing with being an authentic Asian, it just depends because being Asian itself is very diverse.
I guess cultural authenticity is determined by ultimately yourself.
I mean, I don't know my own language, but I think I'm an authentic Asian American. I think just being real and being who you are makes everyone authentic.